welcome back to another episode of the Filipino American Woman Project. I am your co-host, Jen Amos, and as always, I have my amazing co-host with me, Nani Dominguez. Nani, welcome back.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the show.
Yes, and we're excited because we have another podcaster that we're going to be bantering with today. I'm really stoked, very stoked. I had spoken to her a couple of months ago for the Asian American Pacific, the API Heritage Month special, because our shows were actually featured on Spotify a couple months ago. So we'll probably get into that. But as I tease you on that, let's go get into announcements first. So if this conversation resonates with you in any way, or you feel compelled to, reaching out to us and even just saying thank you for this conversation, we have a phone number. You can text us or leave us a voice message at 415-484-8329, or that's the letters TFAW as in the Filipino American Woman Project. Again, that's 415-484-8329. And that is a Bay Area code, fun fact, because most of our listeners are from the Bay Area. So shout out to the Bay Area. Of course, every other part of America is slowly but surely picking it up. I was looking at our analytics the other day, Nani, and there was like 2 specific states where we have like no listeners at all. Ooh. I forgot which ones they are. I think one of them is Kansas. Oh, so fun fact.
So if you guys know anyone in Kansas, let them know.
Tell them to step it up. Listen to one episode.
Let them know they need to represent. Yes.
Yeah. But other than that, like we are covered in all 48 states.
Wow.
So yeah, that's pretty cool.
I feel like the last time we looked at it, or maybe we just announced only like the top 5, but I feel like it was not that long of a list last time we went over that.
Yeah, it's definitely expanded, and for all good reason. There are Filipinos everywhere, yes. and all over the U.S. Or at least people that are interested in Filipino culture. So just really, really grateful to, facilitate this space to, for people in our community to share their stories and for listeners to listen and learn from us. I take a lot of pride in that. All right. So anyway, moving on. This is not our analytics show. So Nani and I, and we've talked about this for several episodes now, we are setting healthy boundaries when it comes to social media. So we're not really as active on there as we used to be. We're investing more of our time and love for you in our newsletter. And so if you want to be a part of that, if you want to stay in touch with us, if you want to contribute to our newsletter, then check that out in the show notes or visit our website, tfawproject.com. So speaking of our website, tfawproject.com, this website wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for one of our sponsors, which today I'm actually wearing their t-shirt. So this is Captivate right here, t-shirt. If you're watching the video version, there's a little logo right there. So there. But yeah, we were on another platform for, the first year, and we decided to move because we wanted to have a social media friendly, user-friendly website for people to find everything and anything about us. And Captivate has made that super easy for us. And so if you are thinking about starting a podcast and you don't want to go through the hassle of getting a website done, I highly recommend that you look into Captivate. Just check out the show notes of this episode or visit our website. Another sponsor, so I didn't actually bring this up to you, Nani, but I just wanted to actually share this resource to people because it's a hard time right now with the pandemic. Like everyone is trying to live their lives and at the same time deal with just the stress of what's going on with social distancing and wearing masks all the time. I definitely have been driving to more fast food restaurants in my life because I don't want to go through the stress of getting out of the car and putting on a mask.
Drive-through, yes. I think more restaurants need to invest in like building themselves a drive-through. Yeah. Anyway, I was thinking about my boyfriend and I, we went out to eat in Walnut Creek, which is about like 25-30 minutes from where we live here in Oakland. And what they've done there is transform like the whole downtown. So they've blocked off like half of the street, like where cars used to park, put all of the restaurants have put all of their tables outside so they can accommodate a regular amount of people if they wanted to have, because they can spread out the tables and everyone is just sitting, eating and drinking in the street. It's kind of cool. Yeah. But
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Here in Oakland, they haven't done that. So it's interesting to see like how people are adjusting.
Yeah, it's something that it's difficult to do, I think, in any place but California, because every place but California has weather.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So California, good for you. But yeah, I definitely, you definitely see the restaurants out here in Virginia, and they try to do that. I remember the first time, there's a restaurant down the street from where I live, and the first time they allowed the restaurants to have a patio seating, they set up this whole tent and everything. And then literally the next day it just rained. It was just rain for the entire day.
It was so pointless. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just so sad. Like, I mean, just what the restaurant industry is going through, the hospitality industry in general, you know, what they're going through. So anyway, going back to one of our sponsors / really resource, because we don't get paid for this, is I actually want to promote 7 Cups, because for people that are going through some mental issues or are lonely or are looking to connect with someone, 7 Cups is a free resource to get 24/7 emotional support. So think of it as like your pen pal, you know, someone you can chat with all the time. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because I have been diving heavy into 7 Cups really this last week. I just need a lot of help nowadays is what I'm realizing, in addition to the counseling that I'm already going through. And, you know, because I think we put a lot of burden on our loved ones to try to have them be our therapist sometimes. And so I don't want to burden my friends and family that way. I want to make sure that, you know, I have other outlets to vent or to, you know, get my thoughts out there. And so 7 Cups has been a really good resource for me to seek out that kind of help. And really just these trained listeners from all over the world, kind of like talking to a stranger, you know, so just something that I encourage for people to really check your mental health and check out your mental health resources. They're so available today. They're plentiful, they're abundant. And 7 Cups is one of those resources that I highly encourage, because I've been obsessing about it really in this last week. So I just want to give you a quick example of how I use 7 Cups, just really quick. So lately I've been trying to unpack my relationship with food. And I could talk about it with my husband, but you know, next hour, my husband's like, yeah, so do you want to get ramen? You know? And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work. That's not going to work.
Like my whole spiel was just about my relationship to food. No, I don't want ramen, but also yes, I do.
But yes, I do. And we did get ramen today, by the way. So I'm halfway finished with it. I had to take a break because earlier this morning I had leftover pho. So I had that for breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
So I've just been about like noodle soup lately. But anyway, it's really cool to have a resource where you can kind of just vent to someone else.
Yeah.
Where they're not going to take it personally.
And unrelated, someone unrelated to the circumstance. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so if you're looking for, you know, that friendly stranger, 7 Cups is a free resource. I don't get paid to say this. It's just a resource that I love and I use. And I've even interned for like 12 weeks because I just loved it so much that now I feel like, especially in today's times, it's important to tell people that it's okay to seek out help. It's okay to get that extra help. Even if you already have help, you can get more help. It's absolutely okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Anyway, that is a lot of announcements. I can get into a little more, but I'm just going to jump ahead and, you know, really get into our guest today. But before I do, Nani, just any last minute thoughts before we move forward?
Nope, I'm good.
Perfect. Okay, let's get into this. So we are excited because today we have the Beauty of Bruhas, Pinays Without Permission, Disappointing Pinoy Parents, and co-founder of Bruja Baddies, Jean Munson. Jean, welcome to the show.
What's up? Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sitting there and just allowing us to go through our announcements. I feel like in the future, because when people watch this in video, they'll just see the guests just kind of sitting there like, when am I going to come in? So I feel like next time I'm going to include guests in the announcements, just because.
I loved it. You know, I think you made sources, without me having to distract with like feedback noise. I mean, wow, 7 Cups. Now I have learned something because I sat and listened.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, it's amazing. Like, I mean, I've been so obsessed about it lately. So I have someone, so the people on there, they're called listeners. So these are volunteer people who go through training voluntarily to just listen to you. Right. And so I have like 3 different listeners now, right? I'm just such a whore for these listeners. So I have a listener to unpack my food problems. I have a listener to unpack my money problems. And then I have a listener to unpack my relational issues. So I just have an idea. Yeah.
That is a great idea.
As long as it's free, you might as well milk it like that, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. And also I feel like I could totally get into a course about this right now. But just so you know, because it's volunteers, I do want to add a disclaimer, because it's volunteers, you do get interesting kind of people, and you are allowed to, just like with Uber and Lyft, you're allowed to report people if you feel like they are not treating you right. So just a little fun fact there. There's definitely checks and balances with the free resource. But anyway, I highly recommend it, especially in today's times. But Jean, so great to talk to you. I'm done talking. I really want to get you to talk, honestly. Start with
your turn.
Yeah, your turn. Yeah, I'm gonna take a break. So that's all I do. I just talk a lot in the first 10 minutes and then I'm done. And then Nani kind of leads it nowadays. So that's my strategy. Fine. But yeah, why don't you share with us, how did you hear about our project? And more importantly, why did you say yes to join us on our show?
Oh my gosh, how can I say no? Y'all, I am so happy to be here. I think it's very bold to have like your name, right? We're up front and center, Filipino American woman. To see that, I saw it on the feeds of Instagram, right? Like, and a lot of other podcasts. My podcasters emerge on Instagram, and I definitely saw this movement happening in the last year to now. And I am just so happy to be here and to be from 3 different states. Like,
yes,
how is it possible?
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, and we're so happy to have you and to be a part of the conversation and really talk about what you're doing too. So we'll definitely dive into that. So, with the Filipino American Woman Project, and I know with Bruja Baddies, you really represent, I think, all spectrums of the Philippine X identity. Right. And so for us, the more people we interview, the more that I find myself being challenged to expand the definition of what it means to be a Filipino American woman. So, in the meantime, as we unpack this and we expand the definition, really, we like to identify Filipino American women as individuals who live or have lived in America that are of Filipino descent and identify as female. And we've had the non-binary perspective on our show as well. And so, Jean, why don't you share a little bit about your family background and why you identify as a Filipino American woman?
Right. So the rest of our team is queer, right? Besides me. And so like coming on today's show, like I completely identify as a cisgender woman, right? So I appreciate you all really holding space and unlearning and learning, right? Like sometimes we think we have it all and then we're like, wait a minute, I have more to learn and I'm not even in college anymore. So I think it's very powerful that what you're all doing, I mean, there's always contention on the X or the O or the A, right? And so that's why I still honor for the titas and the moms who are like, okay, I'm a Filipino American woman. This is a title I can abide by, I can listen. And then all the other people and guests you have can now be infiltrated with their information. So yes, own that title. And so a little bit about me, I grew up in Guam, and most people growing up didn't know where Guam is. They thought it was short for Guatemala.
I've never heard that.
Just a little bit off. Right. And then there's always the mix up of like, are you Chamorro, which is the indigenous name for the people there? Are you Filipino? So it's always been like this, like, hopscotch of like, oh, know where I fit in, Asian American, Pacific Islander, it's a hot mess. But I think that there's such beauty in the mix up because I'm like, okay, that means I have to understand how people identify me and how I identify each other. So I live in the middle in the mess of identity claiming. So yeah, that's really my background. 18 years of my life, moved to Las Vegas, one of the more affordable states during the year 2005 because there was an influx of a lot of people moving to California. In the housing. And so we're like, the next bet is the desert. And so I ended up here where UNLV at the time was affordable. And so, all college tuition's going up or moving down. I don't know if because people are dropping out.
Man.
So
yeah, I know. I remember like once the pandemic started, I've just heard news about how a lot of college students were just straight up kicked out of their dorms, like unexpectedly. Yes. Yeah. And now a lot of them are protesting their tuition fee because it's like, I didn't pay this much money.
That's a good chunk of money. Yeah.
There's no refund. There's no refund. They're like, oh, bye.
Yeah.
Oh, hell no.
It's crazy.
You're not just going to take my money like that.
Yeah. It really gets you to think about like, why did we choose particular schools? I mean, you mentioned that, moving to Vegas, it's cheaper for a lot of reasons. And then some people, they pull out student loans just to get, the title of a certain college name, and now and now that it is what it is, it's like, so what?
Everyone's classrooms look the same because we're all on Zoom. So it's like, what are you really getting for your money?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So it's a very interesting time. And I know that, there are many schools coming back for the fall season, but it's not going to look the same. And I don't fault the colleges. It's just a hard time for all of us. We're all trying to figure it out right now. We're all trying to adapt to the new normal. And it is quite interesting though. But, thank you for, telling telling us a little bit about your background and how you ended up in Vegas. So I'm curious, do you care about like just the notoriety of Vegas? Like, oh my God, we're going to Vegas. Like, oh, 21st birthday, we're going to Vegas. Like, do you care about that stuff?
No, okay. So Guam is pretty sheltered, right? In terms of like, yes, we had access to pop culture, MTV. We got MTV, like the music awards. We always got everything 2 weeks late. If there was like a new series of cartoon, thank God we live in streaming now where we're like things are late, but we were always like 2 weeks late to the game.
What?
So I didn't know really anything about Vegas, right? My brother went to school here, so I was like, great, let's uproot the whole family and show up, and so I mean, like, I went to a play for my 21st birthday, right? Like, so I was in like party town, so sometimes it's always disorienting when friends visit Vegas because they're like, oh,
they expect some big party.
Yeah. And I'm like, you guys want coffee?
You're like,
I know a good coffee joint.
I feel like life outside of the strip is so much different than that little bit of like nightlife or scene that you get on the strip.
Very
people
much
that
so.
actually live in Vegas are not party animals like that.
Right. Oh, we got to get up for work. Yeah.
Yeah. I think like the strip is like a glorified downtown for major cities. Very glorified, Right. I'm curious, how is it right now with the pandemic? I mean, not that you go to the strip every day, but like, do you notice any differences with maybe tourism over there right now?
Right. So like it's really contentious in our town, right? Because buffets used to be a huge thing and now those people can't go to work. And people who work and live within the casinos, especially Filipinos, they're able to afford full-blown homes and cars just from working in the food industry. And so to not have that at full capacity is getting people really antsy in our town and whatnot. So it'll be interesting to keep seeing how unemployment will decline, and that will be really terrifying. So and a lot of college students who are Asian American, I mean, like a guy working at the valet can own a home, bro. Like it's those are no small-time jobs for our city. Like, you literally can work a working person's job and elevate in life here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's going to get really interesting in the coming months to see, like, I just feel like I already see the gap between like the haves and the have-nots getting bigger and bigger. And it scares the hell out of me, honestly. Because like you said, people came here and are like, oh, I can work at the casino and, have a life here, buy a home, buy a car, raise a family. Yeah. And now it's like in the matter of a couple months, all of that is changing. People are losing their homes, losing their jobs. And, if you've worked in the service industry for so long, you would expect to just go and get another job in the service industry. But if you can't be operating in, person doing like physical work, what are people doing if those jobs aren't, transferring to some kind of online capability?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is definitely interesting times, which is why I think it's important. I think community is especially important right now. And as much as I just want to check out from everything, it's like, I need these shows. I need to have these conversations with y'all.
For sure.
I need to know I'm not
connected.
alone. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for talking a little bit about that, Jean. Is there anything else about your maybe family background that you want to share with us before I move forward with the next question?
Right. So like, when you talk about family background, like, my parents are both nurses, live that Filipino American dream, right? And and then they have like 2 kids. My brother's more compliant, like, he's like the good golden son, and I am a hot damn
the
mess.
Troublemaker.
I mean, I try to comb my hair for this show, but it's still it
Girl,
great.
It's fine.
But,
it's fine.
Like, I currently am caretaking my mom as she just got out of surgery, and so every day it's an up and down, right? I'll be like, we're on point, we're on sync, and then some days it'll just be like, she'll just make a comment about like the way that I look, right? And so I've been doing a lot of like unlearning, right? Unpacking and unlearning and meditating, be like, all right, let me detach from these like loaded comments that project, right? But a lot of that relationship with my mom as a woman and me really inform a lot of my activism, right? Like, how do I, and I'm sure y'all can relate, like, how do we like undo this, right? Like, that I really think about family is growing up watching her watch these teleserias, right? Like and just shitty Lifetime movies and Hallmark movies, right? Like the man is always so goddamn terrible, beating his wife, or they're poor, the poor versus the rich, right? And like my mom is so engrossed in this, right? And this is the culture and content creating she's consuming, right? And so when I think about what we do podcast wise, like, at least younger generations can use this content to academically study something better, and transformed, instead of us getting our hair pulled down the street and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yes, so, to expand our perspective a little bit, right? Yeah.
Yes, and that's why, like, when I think about family and what I do, like you two, like, it really has directly in alignment with my mom.
Wow. Yeah, I feel like it's very common to find that, at least in my experience, like running into other people such as us, like Filipino American women, a lot of us have, in general, I don't have the stats, but I have found that a lot of us have a very complicated relationship with our moms. And a lot of what we do is kind of, whether it's proving them wrong or proving them right, or, trying to be the best they can be. It's just this very complicated relationship, especially, and I think about my own situation where, like, my mom is from the Philippines and she immigrated here thanks to my dad, who joined the Navy. And, she very much carried those very traditional Filipino traditions, the Maria Clara archetype, of wanting to be a caretaker and, being that matriarch of the family, and ultimately, raising her kids in hopes that they'll have a stable job, which I have, like, absolutely never had in the decade of my adult life. So luckily mom still loves me, so that's cool. And, we've come to a really good place in our life where my mom just seems to be very grateful, because we're she's an empty nester, and I think she's just happy that we're, like, alive. It's okay, they're alive, like, they live somewhere, they have spouses, except for my sister, not right now, not to air out her dirty laundry.
We don't hate her for it.
We don't hate her for it. She's a cat mom right now. She's currently fostering to keep company during this pandemic. But yeah, it's interesting because, a lot of my struggle as an entrepreneur for the last 10 years was redefining what it meant to be Filipina and American, and so, and a lot of that was inspired by my mom. So I appreciate you sharing that, because it gets me to kind of reflect on, why do I do what I do? It's like, well, I don't want to be like my mom. I say that with, like, a ton of love. At the same time, I do have a lot of my mom's traits, which, that's a conversation for another time. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing that and a little bit about your family background.
Can I add to that? Like, sometimes when we're like, I don't want to be like my mom, which I have definitely said out loud, but I also think that there's a certain level that they want to be us too. You know what I mean? Like, to move about in the world, to wear a midriff in public, to have my ass hanging out, right? Like, for sure. There's a certain level of, like, God, I wish I was my daughter.
Like, I'm those really comments come from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
I think we definitely all have, like, that one person, at least in our families, that makes comments like that every time they see you. And it's not, we know not to take it personal, because we see them do it to everyone in the family, not just us. And obviously they don't mean to traumatize us with those types of words and comments, but it is traumatizing, and it does cause you, when you're younger and you don't understand, how that process kind of plays out for them, all you do is go and project that onto other people in the world and continue to spread that narrative,
Terrible cycle. Yeah.
And so, but I like what Jen said also about how, as you get older and you can give your parents a little bit more grace and understand a little bit more or appreciate more where they're coming from with those comments, it also inspires you to then not continue that pattern,
Right. For sure. And they keep a ton of secrets, right? Like, I'm sure they were radical too, with their butts hanging out, but they will not tell us. They will not be on record.
You both just reminded me of one of my aunts that I just had a difficult time with growing up, and she was just so harsh on me. Like, she would always just critique me and judge me. And I mean, it was really bad. And I come to learn later that she was a beauty queen back in the Philippines. Ooh. And she was married to a celebrity magician guy. And so she had it all, back in the day. What a plot twist. Yeah. And then she had a divorce. And then, she moved to the States, and then she had a bipolar personality disorder. And I mean, I found that out, like, later in life when I'm already been estranged to her, fair. But it's kind of like, wow, like, I mean, other than the mental illness side of it, I think that maybe she, missed her old life and she was projecting it on me, and just thinking about, like, she just made me feel so, like, so ugly and so insignificant. And, now that we're having this discussion and looking back at it, it's like, yeah, like, she was just, she probably felt like she was a failure at that point in life. And I was like a good, easy punching bag for her because I was too young and I didn't know any better.
You're also the beauty queen, Jen. She just, I saw your crown, girl. She was like,
well, she just wanted to be you.
You guys just try. Thank you. Thanks, Jean. That's very kind of you to say.
Hey, I see a crown when I see it.
Yes. Love it. Yeah. In a time where I think all of us are very unkempt right now, I appreciate you saying that.
Let it shag, let it be.
Yeah. I was like, I shave my armpits. I don't know. Who's paying attention? Yeah. You know?
Amen.
I don't know. Deodorant? Try me. I don't know. All right. Anyway. All right. Let's move on. I guess we can kind of jump into that. All right. So in the past, in the recent past, normally for these next two questions, I usually like to separate them. I usually like to get into a snapshot of life today and then get into a life lesson. But I think for this special time in history, I think it'll be good to kind of combine the questions into two. And so, Jean, for people that are getting to know you for the first time, and you're welcome to kind of share pre-COVID and current COVID life right now, give us a snapshot of your life today. And what is the biggest lesson you've learned, since all of this has started?
Right. I feel like every time I've become like a spokesperson of the corona, which I'm like, whoa, this is my life now. I love work, right? Like I am like, as a person who is passionate about service and keeps doing things selflessly, I just like every weekend, every hour of the day, if I was posting a photo on Instagram, I'd be like, damn, I was wearing this same outfit at 5 events on one day. Like I was just a workaholic and I loved it. And I branded myself, doing that, teaching, art, community organizing, infiltrating, like just a lot of stuff. And when the pandemic happened, like I was just like, no, it's not really happening. No, and I would like, I was in such denial. Like, no, we can have our art show. We can have all these events. And like, just to see the real shutdown and to like, whoa, really live with myself. I was like, I'm not prepared to confront like home Jean. Who's home Jean? Home Jean doesn't cook. Home Jean doesn't clean. Who's home Jean,
Oh no.
So
You're like, who is this woman?
Right. Me and the carne asada burrito got real friendly all pandemic. And no regrets. There's something just real special about those fries inside a burrito. But
yes, there is.
It's so true. It's so true.
I think that's called a California burrito, by the way.
No,
for the record.
Damn it. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
It is a California burrito.
Shout out to Ali over here.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Yeah, California. You guys in your patios. Open seating.
Man-made invention is the California burrito.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So yeah, I mean, I really had to take a step back and just really looking at where life is now since March and shutdowns and whatnot is, the importance and value of life and realizing that we're not infinite or immortal, no matter what great our legacies we leave and efforts, and just to pull back, right? And so, I mean, with my mom and her emergency thing, like to be even sick that isn't COVID in this time is like terrifying because how do you seek help?
For sure.
To have your dog die, right? Like I realized that pets don't have a 911, like, come get my dog,
Yeah.
Like, oh, I have to make an appointment still. I don't know if she'll make it till then. I guess she might die, So it's like, oh, wow. Like if I was working as hard as I was in March, I wouldn't have had the time to rescue my mom or to be with my dog and like to really, really be with my dog, I just realized like, man, life is short and like, gotta take more pictures, gotta like call more people, just regular phone calls, gotta just talk in person. Like, I mean, I was just like, it really was a rude awakening. Like, how much am I serving people outside of my life rather than serving what really fulfills me? So that's my rude awakening, y'all.
Yeah. I like how you talk about, really reconnecting with people again. That's definitely been a big thing for me. I feel like whenever I think of someone, I try to make it a point to text them and just say, hey, I'm thinking of you, just say, hey, you came, I thought about you today. Hope you're doing well, and I don't care if they don't respond. It's kind of more for me. It's just like, let me just let them know that I care. And if they don't respond, it's fine. I just want people to know. I just want to feel like I know people. I want to feel like I can connect to people in that way. And, hence why I'm just obsessing over 7 cups as well. Cause I just feel like I'm just trying to reach for any type of connection, right now. And I'm really sorry to hear about your dog. I saw you post about it on Facebook. Yeah. Tell us about your dog. Like,
no, I'll tell you about my dog. My dog is me as an animal, right? Like,
yes. That's what my boyfriend has been telling me lately. Like, you guys act literally just like twins.
Yes. Twin souls, And so I think it's really hard because it's just like, she was aging, right? So like, it's really hard to, and it really like after she died, I was just like, whoa, there are a lot of older people in my life, like older. We're talking about teachers and parents. And like, how much time do we have? Like really, like it was like this existential question. So yeah, my dog was awesome. And I realized like, oh, she really was an emotional support, right? Like to hug, to cuddle, to like talk to you about, you know, stuff that nobody else cares to listen. Like dogs be the first 7 cups out here. You know what I mean?
Oh
like,
my gosh. Yes.
7 cups.
That reminds me of a quote that was like, my relationship with my dog is so deep, like one of the deepest relationships I've ever had, but it all happens in my own head.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. So I didn't realize how much purpose she served after she died. And I was like, I can't keep operating in relationships like this where like it's a second afterthought, like, damn, what if we had more of a relationship? And so, yeah, it has been so liberating to say like, nah, like y'all not really my friends. I'm not really going to show up to that thing or pretend to like you. I'm just going to be like, I'm just going to be home and be me and be with the people here. So yeah, it's tough too. Cause like everyone has to unlearn this new brand of Jean and it's a practice.
Yeah, for sure. Do you feel like anyone, I mean, I feel like this time is a big time of grace and self-reflection for a lot of people. Do you feel like anyone is maybe disappointed with the home Jean version of yourself or, okay.
Yes. There are lots of people who are very disappointed because I think people always think I'll save the day or, you know, I'll think of something new or invent something new. And I'm just like, whoa, everybody, I'm actually unstable. Don't put this person behind the driving wheel. Like I am not well or right. And so it was very liberating to articulate that and to also accept when people are articulating that to me and give that kind of compassionate exchange. And I was like, all right, everyone has a new normal, new thing. Mine's going to be like, let's up the compassion. But there, especially, you know, I work in the independent comic industry and a lot of my male colleagues are like, y'all really showing your weakness right now, Jean. And I'm just like, no, you know what? At the end of the day, the meaningful content really comes from a meaningful mind. And so I can't just be producing out of my ass and like it's not going to stick. So like living with my mom, I've really taken like great note of the conversations we've had, the secrets she had, like just really like substantial gripping things with teeth, like rather than just like, here's a story because I just wanted to make comics. And like, I don't want to be that person anymore.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because I recently interviewed another comic or like a writer on another show, and they kind of just put this big post on Facebook recently saying like, you know, the pandemic has been a very humbling experience for me. I've lost I basically have to start over because I can't, you know, there's no Comic-Con anymore, you know, like there's no places for these creatives, these artists to, you know, exhibit their work. And he was saying, you know, toward the end of it, he's like, you know what, from now on, I'm going to do what I am most passionate about. I'm not going to take on projects because it can give me a buck. Like I'm going to take on projects that are very meaningful for me. And it sounds like that's what you're doing as well. Like not just in your relationships, but in the work that you do.
Yeah, definitely. It's hard because everyone's like, if I want to do something creative, call Jean. And it's like, I don't have enough hours in the day nor the energy. Like really, like after my dog died, like it really was like somebody took a body part and took it away, right? Because like it was like, why do I feel slower? Like, can someone explain to me why I feel slower? And grief is a real thing. And you know, I think about like just even our parents who've experienced like 3, 4, 5, 20 people who died. I'm like, we're in the cusp of our life where we're like, we feel infinite and immortal at the same time. And so, you know, I gotta like, instead of crash and burn and be in denial and have like a midlife crisis at 50, I might as well just confront it now.
Let's start it now. Let's get the midlife crisis out of the way now. Sooner the better.
Let's just go ahead and fast forward through that.
Yeah, let's just go through that identity
now
crisis.
Now is a good time. Now is a convenient time to have a midlife crisis, right? We can just go ahead and force that process. Yeah, no, for sure. I think if 2020 has taught me anything, it is, or if there has been a theme of 2020, it is really about loss. Because even outside of the coronavirus, like so many people are dying just of like random things, you know, old people getting old and whatever else, even before the pandemic hit. There's just so much loss and so much grief. And so I love to see people really like reassessing their priorities. And like you said, being just more intentional with your time and more, you know, instead of just pulling things out of your ass, like really thinking about what speaks to your heart and what you want to put out into the world. And also, you know, making sure that you connect with people and let them know that you're thinking of them, that you appreciate them. Jen, I know that we do that sometimes, just text each other like, hey, I'm thinking of you. Like, you know, we don't need to have like a full on conversation, generation, but we definitely do that. And
yeah, I'm sure.
It does just make you think, like, with all these people that we've lost this in just the last 8 months, you know, right. Why can't we have those same feelings that we have for them after they leave while they're still here, you know? And this is, at least this pandemic is really highlighting that and hopefully motivating a lot of other people to do that as well.
Mm-hmm. Wow, Jean, I feel like we could talk to you all day. I feel like there's so much, like real briefly, because I know that Bruja Baddies is still active even in the pandemic. So thank you so much for doing that, because, you know, talking a little bit about how many of your peers are turning to you for help. I think that's what a lot of us are doing. We're trying to turn to someone that gives us that sense of hope. And that's part of why I feel I have this conviction to keep doing the show, as hard as it can be sometimes, because it's like, one, I like the sense of community, and two, I know that people need it. And so I just want to, you know, from one podcaster to another, I just want to thank you for the work that you're doing. Talk a little bit about Bruja Baddies and your team, and what are you guys up to nowadays?
So we right now we're in the middle of our listener series. You know, we really wanted to pay homage to some of our longtime listeners. But yeah, we are just silly. Like, we try to switch it up between serious and funny. So I've taken a lot of step pull back, and they are the ones who construct a lot of the content, you know, and that's really ideal because, you know, at some point somebody has to take the mantle too. And I don't want to be like Duterte and be holding on to this goddamn power forever, you know, like I'm just
got political.
right. I think that that's the beauty in the podcasts that are popping up and content creating, because like, gosh, like, I mean, it's just going to be so rich. Like, we don't have enough books made, nor the academic resources to be making them, right? So like, if we have to take over the airwaves the way we take over karaoke, then so be it. Right?
Yes. I love that so much. Yes. We're taking over.
Give us a mic and we're here, you know?
It's true. I love that so much.
I love what you just said about, you know, not having enough documentation in terms of like academia for our culture. And so this is, you know, I mean, Jen has been an advocate for Filipina and Filipino podcasters to get started since we started. So yeah, I love to see more and more popping up, like new podcasts popping up and new people considering starting podcasts. I know we've had quite a few people that we've interviewed on the show start their own. And yeah, we love to see it. We love to keep taking up space.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's just too easy. It's too easy, y'all. It's too easy. I mean, there's so many resources today for podcasting and big communities where people just give you free advice, like left and right, let me tell you. And if you want to learn more about those resources, you're welcome to direct message me or Jean and anyone on her team and get that help. I think especially now with the pandemic, this is an important time in history to capture. You know, I think it's so important, and we have the opportunity to be a part of it and to be a part of history. And all it takes is you opening your mouth and pressing record,
and
you know,
saying what's on your mind. Yeah,
exactly. Well, Jean, I mean, obviously, like I said, we could talk forever. We are friends, and we'll probably do another show again soon. I feel it. Is there anything else that you want to share to our listeners before we wrap up, and you let us know how people can get a hold of you if they want to get in touch?
My last huge point, and thank you again for having me on the show, is this is really a time of invention. You know, like, yes, maybe podcast isn't your thing. You start writing that great American Filipino novel, like get on it. You know, like there's no time to wait. There's no time for permission. You know, there's no time for crab mentality. We got no time to waste. You know, life is short, and we're here to rock this world, rock this boat. And I think that, you know, there's a lot of really open mentors like Jen and Nani, and like, don't be afraid. Like, we're creating accessibility at every point, and that is radical as hell.
Yes.
And so I am just going to be excited. Like, man, we're going to be the seniors of tomorrow, and we're going to be like, oh man, like, look how the world has changed under us not waiting for permission. So yeah, that's my last thought.
Wow.
Yes.
That was a great way to wrap up.
That makes me excited to get old.
Let's get old, Nani.
Yes.
Let's get old and never tell people our age.
Yes, 21 forever.
Yeah, I know. One of my friends, she's always like, you're just always going to be 25 to me. And I was like, okay, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, maybe not 21. I think we could be like 24, 25.
Yeah. When we're educated and sort of have a career, something like that, a little professional.
For sure.
Yeah. Jane, how can people get a hold of you and, connect with you and learn more about the good stuff that you're working on?
You can follow us on Bruja Baddies on Instagram. I'm just going to say that because I actually handle like 7 social media handles, and I'm not trying to create more work for myself. So I'm just going to
there you go. Healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries. That's good. That's good.
Bruja Baddies. Hit us in DMs or email. Honestly, that's really the way.
Cool. Awesome. Well, Jean, again, it's been an absolute pleasure having you. Thank you for just taking some time out of your day to connect with us and our community here at the Filipino American Women Project. Nani, any closing thoughts from you?
Yes, just want to thank Jean for being on the show. Tell everyone to go and check out the Bruja Baddies podcast. And just love your energy so much. Yeah, I just feel the energy. It's very uplifting for me right now. And also, to our listeners, again, if you really enjoyed this conversation and you want to get a hold of Jean or you want to get a hold of us, you can find all that contact information in the show notes of this episode or our lovely website, tifaproject.com. With that said, thank you all so much for listening. Please take care of yourselves, stay safe, stay sane, and, stay connected. We need it right now. It's very important. And with that said, we look forward to speaking with you in the next episode. Tune in next time. Ta-ta.
Bye.